Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Nerd Herders Show. I'm Nick.
I'm Rich.
And we are from the Over a Beer channel.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome to this week.
Yeah, this is week 5, episode 5.
Episode 5. We made it.
Moving along.
Yeah, we're episode 5, one of the best Star Wars movies. Probably the best, I would say, Empire Strikes Back. So if it's your first time watching the show, first thing, we have a little thing that we do every week, and that is we drink a beer, because we are over a beer. So what are we drinking today?
Today we are drinking Ellie's Brown Ale from Avery Brewing Company.
It's got a dog on it.
It's got a dog on it. Lab tested, it says.
Boulder, Colorado, they make this.
Established 1993.
So,
cheers.
Let's see.
That's not bad.
I like it.
I dig it.
Brown ale is one of my favorite types of ale. So, good beer. Well, anyway, all right. So let's keep diving right into this week's show. We have some big things on tap. So it's Halloween week.
Yeah, we got
super exciting.
A lot of Halloween things this episode
Halloween
this week.
Things for you for sure.
But like always, we're going to start off with news. We have the top 5 news segments, or what we have deemed the top 5 news segments of the week. First one I'm going to go with is this one you'll be pretty interested in. I don't know if you saw this. I didn't know this until today. FX is developing a TV series for Y: The Last Man.
I did see this.
Now this doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I haven't read them yet. But I know you're pretty familiar with this. So tell me some of your thoughts on this.
All right. So Y: The Last Man. It's a comic from Brian K. Vaughan. BKV as he's called. And if you've never read it, first of all, it's great. It's a Vertigo series. It ran for years. It's over with. It's done. Contained story. And really, it's a comic that I love, beginning, middle, and perfect thing. For a long time, this was going to be a movie. I remember the director, DJ Caruso, who made things like Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf, and what was the one, Disturbia? He made those 2 movies with him. Not the best director. He was actually going to be doing this with Shia LaBeouf. But basically, the story of the comic, and I'm assuming what the show would be, it would work so well as a show. A movie never made sense to me. But basically, a plague wipes out all of the men on Earth except for this one kid, Yorick Brown, and basically his fiance was on she was on vacation in Australia.
Okay.
And so he's trying to get to her. As you can imagine, every man dying, planes dropping out of the skies, primarily pilots. Basically, the infrastructure of the world collapses. And so it's basically him trying to find her, and then people trying to understand why he's the last man. So this could be a really good... it's kind of like The Walking Dead without zombies in a way.
Okay.
The way that it works. You have different fractions of women that handle it entirely different ways. Some go back to the Amazonian ways. It's really interesting. I think this could be a great show. I think FX, I'd love to see this on something like HBO, but FX is definitely, if there was a network that I had to see do it, why not them?
You seem to pretty much kind of push, they've all Sons of Anarchy stuff, and what they're doing with Fargo now, and that's getting a lot of acclaim. And
yeah, absolutely. And BKV is actually involved in the writing of this TV show, which is a good thing. He's actually written for TV before. He wrote some of the better episodes of Lost. He was involved in Lost during its, more well-respected era, and he wasn't involved near the end, so nobody can blame him for that. So yeah, I'm all about this. I mean, does that sound like something of interest to you?
Yeah, definitely. I know you've talked about it before, and I've had friends before who've mentioned it to me. That I really need to read this series, and it's just not something I've ever gotten around to, nothing against it. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested in FX is getting a good track record with these types of shows and these more kind of dramatic, serious, darker shows. So I'm definitely on board for it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exciting news. And for anyone, again, if you haven't read Y: The Last Man, read it. Also, currently ongoing from Brian K. Vaughan is Saga. Probably the best, hands down, ongoing comic series. So if you're looking for something awesome, it's Star Wars and sex and other stuff, and just go read it. It's
Sounds
awesome.
like a good time.
Sweet. What else?
Next up, they have announced that in 2020, two people or two titans will be battling it out in Godzilla versus King Kong. So we're gonna have Kong Skull Island in 2017, Godzilla 2 in 2018, and then Godzilla versus King Kong in 2020.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I want to know your thoughts on this first. So I know that I remember we had a pretty similar, I think, take on the most recent Godzilla film.
I'm not a big fan of it.
Nor was I.
I'm curious to see what they do with Kong Skull Island. I really don't have much interest in this second Godzilla film, just because I didn't. If it's anything like the new one, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm in an interesting place with that. I can't just outright. I feel weird being really excited for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which is from the director of Godzilla, and who is going to be coming back to Godzilla 2. I feel weird being excited for that, but outrightly just saying that Godzilla 2 has no chance. You know what I mean? Godzilla is a movie that I thought it looked great. Amazing trailer.
Yeah.
Best trailer. I mean, if that's all that movie was, it would have been great. But it was really the screenplay that I think that was weak. It had no character development. And everything.
And just all the best actors in it were just completely underused.
Wasted.
Yeah.
Wasted. I'd like to see what he did. I'd like to see a Godzilla movie with a better screenplay. I don't know how this fits together. For everything that we've heard of Skull Island is that it takes place in like the 70s.
Yeah.
So I guess this next movie, I mean, you're almost not going to be able to carry over any of the actors from that. So I guess that's almost like a one and done to introduce King Kong, who doesn't even really need introduced at this point. One other interesting thing I heard about Godzilla 2, while we're on the subject, is right now that movie's slated to open like 5 days before Lost World 2, or Jurassic World 2.
Lost World 2, you got me all.
Lost World 2. That's not going to happen.
No.
No, they're going to move Godzilla 2 away from that. That's for damn sure. I don't know, but, Godzilla and King Kong have fought before.
Yeah.
Right? I think it could be cool to see them, I guess. But the way that the way that Godzilla was in that movie, like, he was massive.
Yeah, how would, like, Kong is not...
Massive, like, beyond big.
Yeah.
Like, how could Kong even stand a chance?
That was one of my things going into, like, Godzilla. I'm like, he's...
Like,
compared to any other iteration of Godzilla, I mean,
and this most recent one,
ridiculous.
Like, his legs were basically like a city block wide.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Like, how is he gonna fight? Is he just gonna kind of climb up them and try?
It could be, it could be stunning. Who would you want to see direct this movie? There is no director attached.
I don't know.
It's something that's a little bit worrisome for me because they announced this movie. There's no director. There's no writers as part of the announcement. It's just we're gonna hit this.
It just feels like
we're gonna hit this date with this thing that doesn't quite make sense for.
It just feels like them going, oh look, see, we've got a plan. We're building a shared unit like every other.
That's what
series now
right?
is we're building a shared universe.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting developments just throughout this whole thing. Kong Skull Island was supposed to come out, was a Universal movie, right, in cooperation with Legendary, who makes Godzilla, and they moved like last minute over to Warner Brothers from Universal, basically so that this could happen. You have to assume now. It's a weird path for these movies to be going. It does feel kind of forced to me. We'll see.
Jumping on the bandwagon again of.
Yeah, I'm sure. We heard a lot of rumors about them trying to get Pacific Rim into that as well. And Guillermo, that movie's still on hold, as far as we know. And Guillermo del Toro has already expressed that he has very little interest, if none at all, for his world to be part of that. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Keep an eye on it. Next piece of news. This is kind of a two-parter. A couple days ago, the New Yorker reported that Hideo Kojima's final day at Konami was October 9th. They had a farewell party for him. He'd been there since 1986, and his non-compete ends in December. So we were all kind of ready for, okay, December's when we're going to get an announcement from him of where he's going next. But today, at the day of this recording, Konami has denied that Kojima has left. They say he's just on vacation, and he's still an employee at Konami. And based on a tweet from, or a quote from them and a tweet from the writer from the New Yorker article, they had little to no knowledge of what this farewell party was. The hell is going on at this studio?
So so either one of two things happened, right? There was a party.
Yeah.
It could have been a farewell party, or it could have been a Metal Gear came out party.
But I mean, this late? Over a month and a half, or almost 2 months later?
Did it come out everywhere worldwide?
I think so. I could be wrong, but
I mean, if it had already been out for a month and a half, then why was he still sitting there? I don't know. I mean, or is it that was a farewell party, and the critical and the commercial success of that game, money speaks. Maybe they're like, hey, you know what? We fucked up. You've been with us for all these years. We want you to keep making games for us.
But I mean, they didn't just fuck up. Like, they
I
just...
know. I know.
Assuming it's their fault. We also don't know what happened. It could have, it could very well be Kojima.
Well, let's break down. First of all, this is the man who basically, he is the creator of the Metal Gear Solid franchise, among other things, for a video game company, Konami. For those who are totally unfamiliar, watch this just for movies. Mm-hmm. Just real quick, basically, this guy was kind of unceremoniously canceled one of his games.
Him and Guillermo del Toro had a game coming up that they're working on. The demo came out and was later pulled.
They took his name off of...
Yeah, they completely stripped his name off of all his newest game, Metal Gear Solid 5, all of its marketing, its box art, everything.
It was a lot like if Steven Spielberg...
Yeah.
If Steven Spielberg had a movie coming out, and then right as it was about to come out, the studio took his name entirely off it, and then also re-released Jaws and Jurassic Park on Blu-ray, and took his name off of those as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they did to this guy, basically.
I was going somewhere else. But I mean, there's been a lot of... Again, we don't know the details, and there's been a lot of reports coming out of Konami of the way they treat their employees and kind of the direction they're like, oh, here's a new Silent Hill game. It's a pachinko machine. Here's this. Oh, we're heading towards mobile. We're heading towards this, but we're not getting into the console space. Which, considering the numbers Metal Gear Solid 5 has done, that would be stupid. So I don't know. So one theory that I kind of read was that was his last day there. He's technically still an employee and has extra vacation days or something that he's taking, and they're trying to be like, oh, no, everything's fine, just to play it off as much as they can. It's just a weird situation. I
would assume clarity is going to come into view one way or another, whether or not they just keep extending this out. But, if he can't talk, you have everybody is in companies like that, you have if he can't talk until December 9th or whatever the date you said was, then December 10th, we're going to know. Yeah. I mean, he's not exactly a guy who's not going to talk.
No, he's definitely one who will come out and tell us. So I'm really curious to hear kind of what's going on, and as the story develops. Something between the time we're recording this and when this video posts, something may have else have come out, but...
At this point, what would you like to see happen?
What I would like to see happen is him... He's going to have his pick. He's going to have his pick to go anywhere. Just somebody who can come in and say, do whatever you want. Here's your game. His last game made ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah.
I think it was this one that made... Launch day, it made more than
the Avengers.
Than the Avengers and Jurassic World combined.
Yeah.
From its release.
Yeah, they always say things super impressive, but they always say that about the Call of Duty games instead of the Grand Theft Auto. But there's a big difference between a $60 video game and a $10 movie ticket. But those are impressive numbers for sure, absolutely.
I'd love for him to just get out of Konami. Clearly, whether it's his fault, whether it's their fault, whether it's a combination of both, this is a toxic relationship, for lack of a better term, that is going on, and it just needs to end.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling once it does, Konami's going to kind of stick with mobile, stick with pachinko, They might put some teams on making new Metal Gear, but I would be curious to see whether Kojima's going to go with another studio, either make his own independent studio or try to do a Kickstarter, and be like, well, here's my Metal Gear, but it's not actually Metal Gear, but similar to Inafune with Mighty Number 9 versus Mega Man, or anything like
think
that.
That's something that if he doesn't stay is likely down the line. I don't think it's something that he would jump immediately back into. Because you have to imagine he went to the well with this latest game, and I don't know if he has an immediate whole new take on it to do.
That's true. That's fair.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. So hopefully we'll have some clarity on that in the coming days, weeks, and months.
Next story we have Die Hard 6. Currently titled Die Hard Year 1 is in development with Len Weissman, who directed Die Hard 4. He's attached to direct and helped develop the project. Supposedly it will be a prequel set in 1979 and show how McClane, quote, became a Die Hard kind of guy. I don't think Willis is officially attached yet, but the idea from what I've read is that they want him to play older McClane to kind of bookend the film, and then have the younger McClane be the cop, through the middle of it.
This movie... Okay, well, first of all, I hated Live Free or Die Hard. That's the fourth one.
See, I don't hate that one.
I hate the fifth one. To me, it's not a Die Hard movie.
That's fair.
At all. People can say it's a pretty decent Bruce Willis action movie, whatever. To me, it's not a Die Hard movie. That's the one where, you had him fighting on top of jets and all these things.
You what was it? You kill a helicopter with a motorcycle or something?
Yeah. And then the fifth one was just literal dog shit.
It was awful.
It was awful. That one's a good day to Die Hard. This movie, they've already ruined the franchise in a lot of ways. I mean, the first three stand on their own.
Yeah.
But they've ruined the franchise in terms of, I do think that they made John McClane just a superhero without a cape. And that's not what he was. He was an everyday guy. But I think that part of the magic of the first movie is that John McClane is just a normal cop who gets caught in a bad situation and handles it to the best of his abilities. But it's you never, ever, ever get the sense that before Die Hard 1 in Nakatomi Plaza that this guy had been through anything like that ever before. And if they're going to do a movie with the guy who made the fourth one, the guy who made the Underworld movies, it's going to be outlandish action. And you're going to tell me that John McClane did all this other bullshit before the first Die Hard movie? That ruins everything.
Yeah, that I don't get on the whole, the sequel ruins the original sense that, I mean, this would literally undermine everything that the first one was about. Because it was an ordinary guy who was put in this situation, in this extraordinary situation, and then if they do him younger and show what made him a Die Hard kind of guy, Die Hard 1 showed what made him that was the point of the first film.
I don't even know if I would want to watch this.
No, I don't.
After the fifth one, if this was just Die Hard 6, I honestly don't know if I would go watch it. But, I mean, this is just... I don't see the point. Even that fifth movie, as bad as it was, I read this past week that it made over $300 million worldwide. So I get why they're going back to that well. Yeah. Especially when you can't go on Netflix these days without seeing some Bruce Willis movie you've never heard of. Like, that's what he's become. He's become a straight-to-video guy. And it's crazy that every once in a while he'll do things and you're like, wow, Bruce Willis cares again. That's awesome. Like, he'll be in Moonrise Kingdom, or, he's going to be in Rock the Casbah this week, or, this month. And, or, he'll do, like, a Looper. And it's like, wow, this guy cares again. And then you'll be like, what the hell are those 5 movies that you're in with Ving Rhames and Mike Wesley? Like, like, what is that? So, I don't know. This is disappointing. It seems like a complete... Like, they have no good reason to do this other than they want to continue that franchise. But
at this point, if you're going to continue, why not just continue it after 6? Like, that's...
Yeah.
Or do with... As much as I hate the fifth one, do it with the son. Say, okay, we're the second generation
really.
of Die Hard.
I mean, that guy, I don't think he's a good actor.
I can't remember blanking on his name.
It might come to me, but Jack O'Connor. I don't know. But anyway, the actor who played his son in that movie he just played Kyle Reese in Terminator Genesis. He's in the like Divergent movies, I think, and he's got a part in something else big that's coming out. Like, he's not a good actor, but he is the kind of guy that you can continue making those movies with.
Yeah.
Just have it be about his son. Don't ruin John McClane.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake.
So, one last piece of news.
The bearer of bad news today.
I know, it just keeps coming. This one could be good news. We'll see. According to the Wall Street Journal, Nintendo has started releasing their dev kits for the NX platform. The exact shape of NX hardware isn't clear yet. People familiar with development plans said Nintendo would likely include both a console and at least one mobile unit that could either be used in conjunction with the console or taken on the road for separate use. They also said Nintendo would aim to put industry-leading chips in NX devices. That is from the Wall Street Journal article. And then the reporter later tweeted that it would likely be more than 2 devices. So this could be really interesting. My first thought is it's more of like an operating system. NX is not necessarily hardware, it's more of the operating system that is going to work across whatever multiple platforms they may be. What are your thoughts?
Hadn't really thought about it like that. To me, it sounded like kind of what some people have speculated since we heard about NX, is that it's going to be a new console that is more up to date with what PS4, what Xbox One are doing, and instead of it being a gamepad, it's more of like a mobile device, like a 3DS type deal, that it is in conjunction with it, really truly taking the console experience out, or having it in your house. It's really unclear. I don't know what I want out of it. What I believe I want is Nintendo to truly enter the current generation, or maybe even truly become the next generation.
Yeah.
But it seems far-fetched to think that they could be leaps and bounds ahead of what PS4 and Xbox One are currently doing, to the point where they literally they force Sony and Microsoft's hand to catch up. I don't think that'll be the case, but I think that I think we've even talked about it on this show, but the Wii U, while we both love it, is a failure.
Yeah.
It is all out a failure in terms of commercial success. Critically, there are countless games that I love.
Yeah.
I love the design of the gamepad. I love the way the system works, but it didn't work. It didn't work for them, and so they have to change. It's a quick turnaround for a new system.
I mean,
especially, it's quicker when you think about it in terms of basically the whole first year of that system, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Basically on the horizon, almost nothing. So after this current crop of games that we have coming out, we just had Yoshi come out. We have Xenoblade. A couple other things. Star Fox
next year, the Shimiya Tensei Cross Fire Emblem.
Right. There's a couple things, but basically, we'll probably hear about this new whatever it is in the summer, probably for a holiday release of next year, and over the next year the release is going to be limited.
Yeah.
And so first year, last year, pretty limited, then you're only looking at a couple of years where it was, even then, I wouldn't say booming with new stuff. So it's a pretty short, I would consider it maybe Nintendo's shortest window for a home console.
4 or 5 years by the time it's all...
Yeah, but 3 years where you're consistently playing it.
Sure.
What is the number one thing that you want out of this new system from Nintendo?
Here's where I'm at. Like you said, yes, the Wii U is a failure. I would like to see them be a commercial success again, whatever that may be. If it, from the way this sounds, they're going to put industry-leading chips, whether that is matching the PS4. I mean, right now, PS4 and Xbox One are 2 years old. So the technology of that is cheaper than it was at the time, or when the Wii U came out, and technology that's better than that, slightly better, that's my other curious, how much is this going to cost? If it's really going to be industry-leading chips, and you can take this thing on the go and it will be a console, which they haven't said it's going to be a console experience on the go. But I mean, look at the Vita. That was supposed to be a console experience on the go, and that was really expensive at the time, and it wasn't. It's not the same.
How far away? Not to interrupt, but
Sure.
how far away do you really think this system is? Because now I'm starting to think about it. When you're talking about price, to really get people to buy in, you're going to have to convince the people that don't always just buy into Nintendo, which we found out isn't as big of a number as we thought it was. Those people are the people that bought the Wii U. To get the rest of the market, they're going to have to convince those people that the other studios are going to be involved.
Yeah.
But for the other studios to be involved, and they're talking about this Wall Street Journal article saying that the dev kit was just sent out,
Mm-hmm.
like for them to truly make games for it, like they can't just sit here at E3 next year and be like, this studio's in, this studio's in, this studio's in, but their games won't be out for another 2 years. But we have this game and this game coming out, and then we'll see. Like,
see, that's why I think
I
that
don't know what
it
they're
may
gonna
end up
do.
being more of a platform and an operating system than NX specifically being the console. Because I mean, they've specifically said it before.
So how do you sell that?
In their wording is, they've talked about NX and specifically called it a platform. They didn't say the console. They said we're still in the console business with developing the NX, and it's going to be a platform. Yada yada yada. Recently they've tried to have the Wii U and the 3DS be better interconnected with their systems, and they've added Miiverse to 3DS and all this different stuff. So I could see them launching NX as sort of almost like an ecosystem similar to the way PlayStation has their PSN, where everything is connected. Their Vita, the PS4, the PS3.
yeah.
And say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start launching it. We're still waiting to hear about what their next rewards program is going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be tied into that. I have a feeling it's going to be tied into all the mobile stuff. I mean, they're coming out with a bunch of mobile games at some point. We're supposed to see the first one sometime this year.
We had heard October. It is now the end of
It's
October.
October 20th at this time. So they have a lot to do. I love them. I will buy whatever the next system is. But I mean, you're right. You're talking. They need something to entice people, because let's just take this fall for example. You've got Fallout 4 coming, is the big fall game.
Sure, and
But-
Battlefront.
And Battlefront. Could you see people like playing? Oh, I'm gonna play Fallout 4, but I'm gonna play on my Wii U, not this. Like not my PS4, not my Xbox One. Like those aren't the kind of games that you really go to Nintendo consoles for. Like you need that third-party support for
There was a
third-party
time-
games.
There was a time when it was. On the 64,
Yeah.
when things like your Maddens, things like the other games
Those kinds of games I could see.
were on there.
Mm-hmm.
And even, there was a time when the best first-person shooter, maybe of all time, was on the Nintendo system, GoldenEye. They had a time when that was where they had gamers. Same with Super Nintendo and stuff.
Sure. No.
But, I don't know. I mean, I think that if they really want to, they had their great success targeting non-gamers with the Wii, and that's gone now. And I think that, we're not covering new ground here. One of the biggest reasons the Wii was a success was because it was a DVD player and it was a Netflix machine.
Yeah.
You can buy a Netflix machine for $20 with like the Google
Most
Chrome
TVs now come with
They
them.
have it built in. That window has closed, I think, for them, and so they have to get the gamers back. And
Yeah.
I think that even though they enjoyed great success in the short term with the Wii, honestly, it might have been one of the worst things for the company as a whole. In the long term,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, I think that they alienated gamers, and now they need gamers back.
Mm. So what they
We'll see if
really
they
need to
can
do
do
is,
it. I don't know.
they try to capitalize on the tablet crowd and the tablet market with the Wii U, and for better or worse, it really didn't pan out for them.
No.
I mean, there's some good uses for it, but again, when you have a controller like that, people are like, well, do I want to develop for? Like, why would I try to shoehorn this extra thing and have to
Right.
develop
That's
this
the
extra
whole
aspect
thing.
for it?
We're not going to develop for this and develop for the other systems that don't have that.
Yeah.
There were a couple examples early on of other companies like Ubisoft doing Zombie U
Mm-hmm.
and making it work, but in the grand
And
scheme
then they
of
went,
things,
well, it didn't sell, so.
why would we waste our time?
And and they got in this position where the console's not selling, So they need third-party support to help kind of move consoles and see
Yeah.
like, but third parties don't want to come to them if their consoles are installing.
Yeah.
So it's this weird,
They can't dedicate a team for 3 years to make it, especially a company like Ubisoft where they have an Assassin's Creed game every year that needs to get made. They got to dedicate that time to stuff like that, stuff that does sell on the other consoles. It's a really tricky situation. It'll be interesting to see where Nintendo goes with this. So a conversation that we've had internally with us and some other people at Over a Beer is, we're at the end of the Wii U's life cycle right now.
Yeah.
Like, with that in mind, with Nintendo very more openly talking about
and you're like, this is coming.
This is coming. What do you do about a Wii U right now?
I mean, if you don't have one, we had a discussion about this, like you said, kind of off camera.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad time to get one if you can get one for the right price. Like when Black Friday rolls around, or once they announce this and the price drops, and there's a lot of games that you want to play on that, go for it. I mean, I think it's got a great library, but because I don't necessarily know how, we don't know yet how NX is going to fit into the Wii U, and if games will, they've traditionally, since they've kind of hit discs, it's always been backwards compatible. You can play GameCube games on the Wii, you can play Wii games on the Wii U.
And I could see some of the better Wii U games still being available as backwards compatible, even if it does not support anything close to the gamepad.
Sure.
You could have Mario Kart. You could have Smash Brothers. A few others spring to mind, but there are some that I feel like if you don't have a Wii U, you will never be able to play them ever again.
That's fair.
I think that is 100% going to be the case, and I think they're going to cut their losses on that.
But I think
Nintendo is a company that likes releasing the original Mario Brothers 100 times.
Yeah.
There are some games that are part of the Wii U, and once that system goes away, you will never be able to play again. So if you want to play those, get a Wii U. But if it were me, if somebody came to me this holiday season, I would tell them, don't do it.
No.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I would say get one of the other new systems, or wait for the NX.
That's fair. I mean, even if you wait for the NX, as soon as that NX is announced, the Wii U prices are going to go down.
Oh, they're gonna.
And I would imagine they would have to somehow make the gamepad controller compatible with whatever the new system is, if they want to bring those other. Mario Maker is huge right now. I don't see them ditching that.
That is a game.
It is a game that you need to play. You don't need to play, but it's much better served playing it with a gamepad.
I think it only works with that.
I mean, I'm saying in theory you could use your controller and grab and click and put, but it doesn't work exactly. It's best served using a gamepad, and I don't think something like that they're going to let just die off. And there's been the report or the rumor of the patent on the controller that's still got the screen.
Right.
So
or if they're truly going to make them way more tied in than ever before, a 3DS type device with whatever the new system is, you could have a 3DS and and do all that stuff on it, like it was a gamepad. I don't know. It's an interesting time. One part that it looks like, one other bit of news that broke this week that is tied in with Nintendo is with this kind of seeming like the end of the Wii U, there's a lot of rumors this past week about the potential of an HD Twilight Princess remake.
Yep.
How does that fit into anyone's plan?
I don't know why.
Is it just something that is in development as like a launch game for this thing, or like how does that fit into any?
They're just going to do the same thing they did the first time, just put it on the Wii U and put it on NX. But yeah, that's a weird. I think it depends when it comes out. If they come out and they say, this December, surprise, Twilight Princess is available for download, Twilight HD remake or whatever, and they've kept it secret just to give us some kind of Zelda this holiday season. I don't know who at this point is going to necessarily entice, because if you didn't play it on GameCube, you played it on the Wii, and if you didn't play it on either of those,
I would get it again in HD. And I own it for both of those systems.
Okay.
But I would be disappointed if it was a digital-only release.
Sure. I agree.
Absolutely.
I would like to see some kind of physical release, maybe a special
some sort of special
edition. We don't get those here very often from them.
No, we don't. I don't know. We're going to find out more at E3, right?
Yeah.
So we want to know what you expect from the NX. Are you a gamer who gave up on Nintendo? Can they entice you back? Are you disappointed that the Wii U life is almost at an end, or anything else we talked about.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know what you thought of it.
Excited for another Die Hard. Some more shenanigans from John McClane.
Let us know in the comments, and
like this video, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel.
follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
And follow us on Twitter. I'm at Stonks.
I'm at Rich Belson. And the Over Beers on Twitter at OABeer_official.
And we have the PlayStation.
Yeah, if you find us on, we have a PlayStation community right now. I know their network's a little iffy on searching, so if you find either of us on there, you should be able to find it through there. But there is an Over a Beer community that is now on PlayStation 4.
Sweet. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.